After my IDF service, like every other Israeli, I went to India and Nepal. And in Nepal, I was trekking in the mountains, and I saw a small kind of poster in Kathmandu, the capital, that invited volunteers to work with street children. I said, that sounds cool, I'll do it for 2 hours. That 2 hours turned into 3.5 years. And I learned Nepalese, which is a very useful language. In 2011, the tsunami in Japan happened. 120-foot wave tsunami, washing away everything, 20,000 people lost their life. And then I got a phone call from the person who was running IsraAID at that time, Shachar Zahavi, and he asked if I could lead a relief mission to Japan. The plane was completely empty, and then I found out that people were actually running away from Japan because of the radiation. We moved from a village to village, from town to town in Fukushima area. We offered medical support, we offered distribution of relief supplies. On one hand, you see unbelievable devastation. On the other hand, I was so moved by the work we were doing. And I realized something that I kind of follow ever since, and I think this is really the motto of IsraAID, is just that disasters are opportunities. We pray that will never happen, but they do. So for instance, in Japan, it was an opportunity to build a mental health and trauma counseling support program that didn't exist before the tsunami. Also, I was so motivated and excited and encouraged by the opportunity that we had to really make a difference. Nepal to me was like a second home. I speak the language. When the earthquake happened, I immediately jumped on a plane. In the morning of the 6th day, we were able to dig quite deep into the rubble. The commander of our team told me he hears something. So then he asked me and another Nepalese girl who was there if we can crawl inside and scream something in Nepalese. Unbelievably, down from the rubble, this lady actually whispering the word dukcha, it hurts, I'm in pain. She survived for 6 days without food or water, and she's now with her 2 children back in the village. So these are kind of the miracles that keep you going. And then I moved to another disaster, which is the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. I was terrified. I used to wake up every night full of sweat, which was one of the main symptoms of Ebola, and I was 100% sure that I have the virus. And I measured my temperature and I was like, okay, not yet. You're not allowed to touch anyone. We realized that there was no medicine at that time, so we realized that what we should be focusing on is education and prevention. And then another disaster in a country that I never heard of before happened, Vanuatu. We went there and we ended up working in this island for the next 3 years. Everyone talks about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, but PTG, post-traumatic growth, is actually the flip side of that. That's how these terrible disasters could be opportunities. In a way, Israel, the country, is a living example of post-traumatic growth. From the trauma of the Holocaust, we were able to grow as a nation. Through this work, we support Israel because it helps us build bridges with non-typical friends, like the Syrian refugees, like the UN. It's called IsraAID because we want to connect people to Israel through this kind of work.